Hi everyone, welcome to my review of Tim Burton's Corpse Bride in 2005. So, another Tim Burton review, and of course, I've reviewed Sleepy Hollow and of course Edward Scissorhands, back in August, beginning of August, so it's been a while since I last watched a Tim Burton film, and I tried to watch more, it's just they're not all available to me at the moment, and this one was of course on Sky, so yeah, I just watched it tonight, and of course it's an animated film, so I was really interested, to seeing what Tim Burton would do with this. Of course, co-directed as well with Mark Johnson, but from what I've heard, it mainly Tim Burton who his vision in terms of the emotional, the tone and everything of the story, and yes, very interesting story, which I won't really get into, but yeah, set in this kind of take on Victorian kind of England, and yeah, it's basically Victor, the character Victor, voiced by Johnny Depp. Basically, is set up with this to marry this Victoria character, voiced by Emily Watson, and basically the parents are there as well, and they're basically in the house and everything. They're kind of rehearsing the kind of the vows and everything like that, and at the beginning, the first 20 minutes, or 25 minutes maybe, it's mainly that and kind of family drama, comedy, and basically it voices such talents, as Christopher Lee, Danny Elfman actually is voicing a character in this film, and he also does the score, which is very good, as always, and yes, you've also got Albert Finney, just great talent in the voice acting, and basically, yeah, you see, the kind of parents and of the two sides, and it just adds loads and loads of comedy. I was loving the film, and this film, is acclaimed by critics, not so much by fans, but yeah, it is quite popular. And yes, I was just I was actually kind of loving this film. I will say the first 20 minutes or so, first 25 minutes, you could say. Basically, this Johnny Depp character, Johnny Depp voices this character Victor, and he's kind of he goes to wander off at night, and just at this point I was really just kind of loving this film. I loved the visuals, the kind of the art style, the animation was just really unique, and had had a charm to it. Not traditional animation at all, and it's very Gothic once again, of course, but Tim Burton Gothic, it's very different, and very dark. But yes, it really was very well done. I loved the animation, and just had a charm to it, but also it had like a dark edge to it, and just very good humor in the film. I loved the humor, and the situations that arose, and the characters. Helena Bonham Carter, of course, she voices the Corpse Bride, and Emily, and she comes into the film basically, after the 25-minute mark, and Victor basically accidentally puts the ring on her finger, and she thinks he wants her to marry her, and then she takes him to the kind of undead world, beneath, and basically yes, you see all these skeletons, these people that died. And yeah, it basically unfolds from there. You've got this kind of love triangle, and yeah, kind of other things happening as well. And the kind of the dead return at one point to the normal world. And yeah, a very short film. And I was loving this kind of, as I say, first 25 minutes. I think the comedy was great. Overall, the script very good. The visuals were stunning, of course, which is stunning throughout the film, really. The score by Danny Elfman, really kicked in, and just great world building. I felt, just great world building. The way that he kind of draws you into this world, the atmosphere, the kind of the drier sense of humour as well works in hand with the dark tone of the film, the macabre feel that it has, and just it's very grounded, and very odd, very unique, but it was very grounded, and I was just really I loved actually the romance that was developing between Victor and Victoria, and unfortunately this film really went off the rails. after that 25 minutes, it just really disappointed me in the end. And it just became a film that overall was just, it was fine. It was good, but overall, could have been great, and it really was great actually, borderline great and very good, but definitely a film that I loved until that. It was just doing so much things right, and I was just really, really compelled by Johnny Depp's the character he plays, Victor. The voice acting, of course, is all great there. And then when the corpse bride actually comes into it, and Johnny Depp's character Victor, protagonist, kind of goes underground, to this other world basically, and you see all these skeletons and weird things there. That's when the film really starts to take a dip and it just goes off the rails, and it never recovers really consistently to a film that what it was. The quality and the tone of the film is quite off. The character motivations I didn't feel were really in tune, and quite inconsistent. The character of Victor, very inconsistent character, I feel, and just one that you're doing one thing, he feels one thing, 1 minute, and then he goes and does something else, and just redoes it, and does just weird things, and just kind of breaks his character. He's all over the place. I never got a full after that, a full kind of judgment of his character. Just never really got a sense for his motivations, his motives, and just I didn't really like the corpse bride in the film overall. I think I didn't quite know what to kind of feel for her. I don't think it was a well written character really. The voice acting wasn't. I don't think it was actually that great. The rest of the voice acting was really, really good. But this character, the corpse bride, I just didn't like it. I think at times it was a bit frustrating, and just the way that she kind of the love triangle, you could say, kind of unofficial, but it's not traditional love triangle, but yes, it basically is, and it was more frustrating than compelling, you could say. And as well, once they get to this kind of place, where there's all these skeletons and stuff, just yes. Now the songs with these skeletons, first of all, are not good, and I just thought, what is going on? I think in this film actually it's a shame, and even on itself, it's not just because the kind of grounded, dark kind of tone, restrained tone in the first half, first third, sorry, of the film, but really once they get into this place, it goes too far, it goes too over the top, I feel, and it just becomes unbelievable, and actually more so boring. Yes, I would actually say it becomes boring. Just wasn't compelled by this world. Just the bits where there's all the dead people, the skeletons and everything. At times it had some good moments, and visually it was very good. There was also some kind of creative stuff going on there, and somewhat followed what was going on with the corpse bride. As well, the best thing that come out of that world that they went into was basically Victor, the character Victor. He had a dog that died, and basically the dog is there, as a skeleton, and I thought that was done really, really well. Actually, it's quite touching. But yes, overall, I just thought, wow, this isn't working too well. Just the songs aren't good. It goes on for way too long. The songs, especially the first one where the skeletons come into play, and you just they're not characters at all, really. They're just and it's just it just changes tone completely. I feel it goes way too far. The kind of it goes too over the top, and it just doesn't quite fit with the rest of the film. I feel as well, the character of Victor becomes less and less compelling, really, until the very end, which has the last sort of 5 minutes. It is better, but than the rest of the film before that. Apart from the first 25 minutes, but it does. It is a bit generic, and it doesn't quite come together enough to kind of allow the film to fully regain its quality. And just overall, I just didn't quite know what to feel really about this character of the corpse bride. I just didn't quite know what to feel, and she just wasn't. I just never really understood what Tim Burton really was trying to say with her. It just wasn't that compelling. I did get bored at times because it just wasn't very compelling. It's just it's a bit too showy. It's all style and not much substance really. In the world of the Corpse Bride, there's a couple of moments here and there that are quite human, but really it's just too much, and it just isn't compelling really for me. This stuff, it doesn't have the kind of character development and the kind of just the tone and the kind of restraint, and the kind of stuff that I loved about the first 25 minutes of the film. So overall, I think I'd have to give this film a 71%. I think it is a good film, and it's actually nearing into the average mark for me. But it's the first 25 minutes are so good. They are great for me overall. I was loving the film really, I could say, and I can't quite call this film average overall, but the rest of the film, apart from the last 5 minutes or so, was just a lot. It was just underwhelming for me overall, in a lot of areas. The animation throughout, I will praise. It's visually stunning. It really is. It's a very very particular kind of style and animation, but it really really works wonderfully. And these characters really, most of the characters in the first 25 minutes are really really compelling, and great comedy, great writing. The timing was great, and just really this world, I was really interested. I was thinking at this point, wow, I really want to see more Tim Burton animation. I've not seen a lot of his works of the 2000s and 2010s, but yeah, I was really really compelled by it. I would have given it a very high score, but overall, it just it suffers a lot in most of the film. It's a shame. It's never bad. It's never mediocre. It is mostly just average. The rest of the film, and it's got a lot of things that just don't work for me. The moments that just are quite boring at times, and yes, it just really really it's disappointing considering how good the first 25 minutes were, and how much I was just really enjoying the film. I would highly recommend the film, because it's very very unique, and maybe you'll like it a lot more than I did. With the actual Corpse Bride. That's really for me. That the Corpse Bride and her world. The undead, the kind of that really doesn't work as well as it should have done, and just it's just quite frustrating at times. This love triangle, instead of compelling, it is frustrating. The score though by Danny Elfman is overall very very good. The songs, not too great overall. Throughout the film, and it has got very good visuals, stunning visuals. And it does have still the protagonist is fine. Johnny Depp is very good at the voice acting. But the character of Victor is very inconsistent throughout most of the film. But he was very very compelling at first, and the ending as well. It kind of brought things back a little bit. It was a strange ending. I didn't quite think it should have ended there. But just in terms of Victor and Victoria, the dynamics that happened. At the end, it was a bit more compelling. But really, this film, it is disappointing. Considering how good the first 25 minutes was. I think it really just suffered a lot, in them parts. It's a shame, it just didn't quite connect with me as well as I think it should have. But this is not a bad film, it's not. These parts weren't bad at all. They just weren't. They weren't what I expected from Tim Burton, and just not from what I've expected from how the film was set up. This world was very very interesting, and just compelling. And the narrative was really really good at first, and it just kind of went awry, and I didn't really like as well. I didn't appreciate the kind of Gone with the Wind reference in there, adding part of the score to the film. Gone with the Wind, they put that in there at a stupid moment, and that really took me out. And it's annoying, to see Gone with the Wind in this film. I love that film. And just very, very out of tone moment. Really hated that moment actually. And just the way that the undead, it's a mixed bag when they come back to the actual normal world. A couple of human moments there, touching moments when people are reunited with their lost ones. And I loved actually the thing with the dog, kind of Victor, his past dog, how that was brought into play. And a couple of maybe one or two scenes with the corpse bride was pretty decent, but overall it just wasn't that compelling. This character of the corpse bride. Therefore, the kind of love triangle that happened. In the end, things happen which I won't get into, but there could have been. I didn't really feel too much overall, because without ruining it, the rest of the film didn't allow that to be built up in a way it should have, and I won't say any more, but you can kind of get the gist of what I mean there if you've seen the film. Even though it ended up in a certain way, I didn't quite get the most of that because it was only 70 something minutes, and most of that was just the actual romance that did matter just didn't get developed enough, and it started off really amazingly well. Loved the scene with the piano as well. It's just a really amazing film at first, and that's why I can't give it a lower score than what I have with 71. But it really is quite disappointing overall, compared to what it started off as. And yeah, just a film that overall is fine, it's solid. Overall, it's not a film that really, comes together in a way that moved me or anything like that. It just kind of made me feel, why could this film not have been more consistent? And interesting, unique for sure. Has some great stuff in there, particularly in the first third. But ultimately, it's just a solid film overall, and just nothing to speak of, unfortunately. But there we have it. Thanks for watching my review.